If you've ever seen an oyster mushroom for the first time, you probably did a double take. It doesn't look like the typical mushroom you might imagine. No perfectly round cap, no thick central stem. Instead, it fans out like a shell, almost like something you'd expect to find clinging to the side of a rock near the ocean. And that's actually how it got its name. But here's the thing, despite its strange appearance, the oyster mushroom has quietly become one of the most popular mushrooms in the world. So, what exactly is an oyster mushroom? And why is it suddenly everywhere? It shows up in restaurant dishes, vegan recipes, and even home kitchens more than ever before. Let's take a closer look, right here, on History of Simple Things. At its core, the oyster mushroom is a type of edible fungus. It belongs to a group of mushrooms known for growing on wood, usually on dead or decaying trees. Instead of sprouting from soil like many other mushrooms, oyster mushrooms prefer to grow in clusters along tree trunks, logs, or fallen branches. They're called oyster mushrooms because of their shape. The caps often resemble oyster shells, with a smooth, curved surface and soft edges that ripple outward. Their color can vary quite a bit too. You might see them in shades of white, gray, beige, or even soft pink or golden tones, depending on the variety. Unlike the button mushrooms you might buy at a grocery store, oyster mushrooms don't usually have a thick central stem. Instead, they have a short, off-center stem, or sometimes none at all, giving them that layered, shelf-like look. Oyster mushrooms are found all over the world. They naturally grow in forests across Asia, Europe, North America, and even parts of Africa. Anywhere there are trees and the right amount of moisture, there's a good chance oyster mushrooms can grow. They thrive in cool, damp environments, especially during the rainy season or in shaded forests. You might spot them after a storm, growing in clusters on fallen logs like nature's own little shelves. But here's what makes them even more interesting. Oyster mushrooms are not just wild, they're also one of the easiest mushrooms to cultivate. Farmers and even beginners can grow them indoors using simple materials like straw, sawdust, or coffee grounds. That's one of the big reasons they've become so popular in recent years. Most people picture mushrooms as having a round cap and a central stem. Oyster mushrooms break that mold completely. Their unique shape actually has a purpose. Because they grow on the sides of trees, their fan-like caps help them spread out and catch more air for spore dispersal. Instead of growing upward from the ground, they grow outward from vertical surfaces, which changes their entire structure. Another interesting feature is their gills, the thin lines underneath the cap. In oyster mushrooms, these gills run all the way down the stem, if there is one. This is called decurrent gills, and it's one of the easiest ways to identify them. So while they might look unusual, every part of their shape is designed to help them survive and reproduce in their environment. Now let's talk about the part most people care about, the taste. Oyster mushrooms have a mild, slightly sweet and savory flavor. Some people describe it as having a subtle seafood-like taste, which is fitting given their name. Others say it's more earthy and delicate compared to stronger mushrooms like shiitake. But what really makes oyster mushrooms stand out is their texture. When cooked properly, they become tender yet slightly chewy, almost like meat. That's why they're often used as a meat substitute in vegetarian and vegan dishes. You'll find them in stir-fries, soups, pasta, tacos, and even fried like crispy chicken. Their ability to absorb flavors makes them incredibly versatile in cooking. Oyster mushrooms didn't just randomly become popular. There are a few key reasons behind their rise. First, they're incredibly easy to grow. Unlike many crops that require specific conditions, oyster mushrooms can grow quickly with minimal space and resources. This makes them ideal for urban farming and small-scale growers. Second, they're affordable. Because they grow so easily and quickly, they're often cheaper than other specialty mushrooms. Third, and this is a big one, they fit perfectly into modern eating trends. As more people look for plant-based alternatives to meat, oyster mushrooms have become a go-to ingredient. Their texture and ability to crisp up when cooked make them a favorite in vegan recipes. And finally, they're just plain delicious. Once people try them, they tend to keep coming back. Yes, oyster mushrooms aren't just tasty, they're also packed with nutrients. They're low in calories but rich in vitamins and minerals, including B vitamins, potassium, and antioxidants. They also contain compounds that may help support heart health and the immune system. Another interesting fact is that oyster mushrooms contain natural substances that can help lower cholesterol levels. While they're not a miracle food, they definitely contribute to a healthy diet. Plus, they're a great option for people looking to reduce their meat intake without sacrificing texture or satisfaction. Oyster mushrooms aren't just a food trend, they might actually play a role in the future of sustainability. Because they can grow on agricultural waste like straw or sawdust, they help recycle materials that would otherwise be discarded. Some researchers are even exploring how oyster mushrooms can be used to break down pollutants and clean up the environment. So, what exactly is an oyster mushroom? It's a unique shell-shaped fungus that grows on trees, tastes surprisingly rich and savory, and happens to be one of the easiest and most sustainable foods you can find. It's a mushroom that breaks the usual rules, both in how it looks and how it's used. Thank you for watching. If you have suggestions for our next video, feel free to share them in the comments below. We'll be sure to give you an acknowledgement for your contribution. Thank you for joining us on this journey through the history of simple things. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and stay tuned for more stories woven through the smallest details.